Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Two Tutors Talking. I am your lovely host, Audrey Codner, and from ACG Math Tutoring. So, I want to introduce you to not only a wonderful but an extremely interesting, like especially for people that are math. Every time like people do like math, they always have their math symbols that they want to say, "Oh, I'm a tutor," and then they all have like cute little symbols that they get off of Canva. And then there's always this one with a whole bunch of beads on it, and no one knows what that is. And they're like, okay, well, that says math, so I'm just going to throw it on there. But that little symbol actually has a name and actually has been the actual, I want to say, I keep saying actual a lot today, the definition of mathematics. This is what we use. It was that ancient art of mathematics. So let me introduce you not only to the land of abacus, but also to Lynette Young. How are you, Lynette?
I'm very well. Thank you for asking.
Well, welcome to Two Tutors Talking. And if anything, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So a little bit about myself. I've been working with Abacus for almost 20 years now. I've been teaching kids how to do math with an abacus. Abacus is yeah, a tool to, show the kids how to do math. A little bit more about me. Yeah, that's it. um I don't know what else to say. I know I like tech, and I'm trying to, I've done some coding, and so, but
I
yeah.
mean, and just the whole technology, the transformation, a lot of people be like, what? So there's two great things that's coming on today. So we're going to first talk about the whole abacus. Like what made you get started with the abacus and like kind of like helped build a business around it because you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah, so it started off with my dad going to Korea, and somebody said, "You gotta teach abacus in America," and he's like, "What's abacus?" Because we kind of knew of it, but I never grew up with it, and so he wanted to teach kids, on the side to get them to learn how to do math and stuff. And this was for me, it was before my kids. And I was like, I don't know what abacus is. And he was trying to tell me, and I was like, I don't know what's going on. But he, went through, and he actually built a business, a side business, to teach. We have a learning center out in Los Angeles, California. And what we do is we teach children from ages 5 to 11 how to do arithmetic, basic arithmetic, adding, subtraction, multiplication, division on the abacus. And from there, it was me and my brother. On the weekends, we would be teaching, kids from 9:30 to about 5:30. And from there, my dad wanted to retire, and so my brother and I decided to split up. My brother's taking over the brick and mortar, and then I'm taking over the online. So I'm trying to have a wider reach, to go outside of the city, outside of the state. So we'll see.
That would be awesome because when I first met you, you're like, yeah, I do an abacus. I was like, and low key, I took my phone and I looked up what is an abacus, and then I'm sitting here trying to like spell abacus. Like really, it was the struggle was real.
Yeah.
But then once I saw it, and I was like, wait, ooh, because it's such a traditional, like it's such an interesting way. Like if you're a parent and then you're just like, you know what, I want my child to learn math and that's going to be memorable. That's not so tied to a calculator and
Yeah.
just get like those basic skills.
Yeah.
This, the abacus, is just like a great way of doing it. Like, do you have like a example of abacus somewhere around there?
I
Of course she
do. I have
does.
one right there. Well, see, the thing is, the great thing about abacus is that it's very visual, and so the kids will be able to visualize and see, when one plus one is, or two plus two is. And then the way this is that we count to five is up here. So five, and then when we add the one, that's six. So the kids can actually decompose as well as understand that there's visual representation. So then on the abacus, for the first column, all of it would be nine. But if the kids can see it, the kids will be able to see that this is a five plus four.
Mhm.
So it adds more to number flexibility to understand how the numbers can relate to each other.
Oh, that's great because
Yeah.
that's a lot of what's happening. If you notice, parents, that if you see your child and they're like elementary and you see a lot of the visual representation, especially
Yeah.
like Singapore math, like that was like the
Yes.
biggest
Yes.
thing that they have.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, a lot of people are like, what is this? That's what they're doing. They're really taking a lot of the visual and
Yes.
trying to help the kids carry it over. So it's like regular, as like I like to
Yes.
call it, naked math type thing. So they're really
Naked math, yeah.
getting that visualization.
Yeah, Abacus also does place value as well. So this, if this, we call this the ones, we can call this the tens. So it'd be 10 and then 0 and then 20 and then 30 and 40. The good thing about like Abacus itself, I mean, yeah, so then you can actually go further into adding and subtraction, multiplication and division on the Abacus, which is really
Oh
quite
wow.
interesting. Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's where it comes, where I always say it'll be great that we can do this stuff in the classroom, but I'm going
Yeah.
to be truthful, people. We don't have time. I mean, everything is like we got to get ready for this test and get ready for that test.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
why when you first came, when we first met, I was like, this will be awesome for especially like those homeschool parents that are wanting to do something really fun and new. But
Mhm,
it's also
mhm.
good for anybody. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it was interesting to know, like, when the Common Core, so I'm in California, the Common Core was like, "Oh my god, Common Core is gonna be this great, it's gonna be so confusing and all this all this and that," but I noticed that when my kid, so I have 3 boys and they all went through the Abacus curriculum, but I noticed that because they know Abacus, they're not as confused because they know how to manipulate the numbers, and they understand, like, their number sense is really strong, that when you give them a 10 frame or a 5 frame, they are easily able to relate that to the abacus, and it just builds on top of everything. So,
And that's great
yeah.
because that visualization, if you notice, especially now that everyone's using their phones,
Yeah.
our kids are really starting to become visual when it comes to
Yes.
like making that conception.
Yeah.
Yes, you may have a couple auditory learners, but right now it seems like that visual learners is really growing. And something
Yeah.
like you said, the abacus just makes it so real. Other
Yeah.
than you just hitting all the beans. There's only so many beans you can put in a cup.
Yeah. 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 It's really quite amazing, like, it's not very popular here in America, but in, like, India, Malaysia, in the it's really very popular. Um, so I'm just
So,
trying to.
do you notice like something like for your sessions? Because I know sometimes you have like those tutoring sessions, but I'm seeing like you're doing a lot more videos and you're doing more of the instructional piece because I want to get all the abacus stuff like up and then we're going to talk about the tech stuff.
Yeah.
But we're going to carry it over. Like Lynette is not like a typical tutor because she's like putting like a whole system together. A book by
Yeah.
chance?
Yeah. So my book that I created, and I'm trying to
Shameless
relate.
plug, no intended.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and so I have my book, I have an online curriculum that I have, because it's very, because I want to go outside of, in person and stuff. I'm trying
Mhm,
to expand out to, an online course, and then have the whole curriculum. I've created the my all my worksheets. Yeah. So I have a couple of students. I have one student that's out in Florida,
mhm,
and it's been interesting, like, to see them to understand and grasp, how to relate abacus to math. So,
mhm. Now, especially for that student that you have in Florida, like, have you seen, like, what is the changes that you're seeing? Like, when they first come to you, they're not used to having it. And then
yeah.
now you're seeing that transformation going from not knowing to she seems to be getting it.
Yeah, and that's what it is. It was more because it's so visual, and with the course they have to buy the abacus, so I provide the abacus for them, and then when they see just even moving the beads, because it's tactile as well as visual, they're able to make that correlation. So instead of having, like, two pens and whatever, it's all one area, and it's easy to be able to, what do they say, practice over learning. They talk about over learning just makes it
Mhm.
more and more, in depth, and they can really, becomes really ingrained. Like, trust me, don't ask my kids what like the formulas for the abacus. They'll be like, I don't know, I just move my beads and everything just happens. And that's what we wanted. We wanted automaticity, right?
Mhm.
It's not memorization, but it's automaticity, where they can move, and see the movement of the beads, and just, through and through. So
And that's perfect because I noticed that, especially with my students, the thing that they always seem to struggle is the multiplication, or
yeah,
basically it's fast addition. But
yeah.
if they don't, and I know in schools, a lot of people don't do the cadence anymore. Like when I was in
Oh
school
yeah, that's
many
right.
moons ago, we don't do the
Yeah,
cadence like 2 times 2 is 4. We
yeah.
didn't do any of that because now they replace that for the multiplication and the division with the calculators.
Oh
And
right.
then now we're starting to go into Singapore math, and now we're asking the kids to make a switch, and they're like, "Whoa, wait, what? Why
Yeah.
can't I use the calculator? I got a calculator on my phone." And but we're like, "No, we really want you to understand why 35 divided by 7 is 5."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
instead of you relying on the calculator, because what happens if your phone dies because you've
Yeah,
been
true.
on TikTok all day, like me.
Yeah.
Uh, so,
Yeah.
what are you going to do when you need to calculate something and you can't? So, we
Yeah.
don't want to put our kids in the situation, but having the abacus and the visualization and the program, this will kind of really catapult your kid to the next level, that now when they go and take like advanced classes,
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like it's helpful. Did you have a situation where a kid, like, say, like a high school kid, was using the abacus?
It was actually better. There is a kid that we have, that's going to Berkeley, and one of the professors is in science, and the professor was like, "No calculators. You need to just use your brain to do all the calculation." And all the kids in the class were like, "Oh my god, what does he mean, no calculator?" And my student, he was like, "Yes, I can bring my abacus to class, and I'm just gonna be able to go through it." I mean, but you don't necessarily, so one thing is you don't necessarily need the abacus. The idea is to go to mental math, so you can actually
Mhm.
visualize the abacus in your head, so you don't even need the actual, the physical tool. So the idea
Right.
is to go to, yeah, mental math with the abacus.
So it's like, just like everything in life, we have something that will assist you,
Yes,
and
exactly.
then it's time to kind of wean it off.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
and that's exactly what we're trying to do. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So now everyone, there's no excuse now. Everyone knows what an abacus is, and then just have a good idea. And if you don't, I'm going to share like where you can contact Lynette to find out more about the abacus, and then how
Mhm,
you can instill it in either your classroom or your homeschool
mhm,
sessions,
mhm.
or even like tutoring sessions, whatever you want to do. So that's part of Lynette. That's only
Yeah.
one of many, multifaceted. That's why I love her. Now, now we got the tech side. So it's more like, tell us a little bit about your technology side of Lynette.
Well, I, built a couple of websites. Is that where we're going?
Oh,
um,
okay.
being able to, get a name. So, as I have Learning with Lynette, and then I also have I have LynetteYoung.com. And so building websites either on WordPress. I've dabbled a little bit with some other applications like ClickFunnels and Go High Level. Um, yeah, mostly now. I mean, there was like Joomla, and there was a bunch of others that were like, oh my god, it's been really quite some time. I've been doing it since 2000, actually. My
Oh,
first
wow.
job was over at with Earthlink. I don't know if you knew Earthlink.
Oh, I heard
Yeah,
of her blank. Yeah,
yeah. Now they moved to Atlanta, and they used to be, they merged with Mindspring that's out in,
that's
yeah,
right. Okay.
yeah. So I was back in the day. So.
Not too
before.
far along. Not too far
Yeah,
along.
yeah, before web development was actually introduced into college, actually. So we had to get it
Mm,
through the technical schools.
yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, and there wasn't too many women that was
Oh,
in those technical schools. Let's be truthful. That's
yeah,
true. There's
yeah,
not too
it's very
many.
true. It's still very male dominating. It's still very male dominating, and you and as a woman you still need to don't let them, push you around, because
Hmm.
what you say is what you say. But
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's perfectly fine for all businesses. But reason why I'm bringing up the tech is because there's a lot of people that are making transitions. Again, this is two
Oh, right,
tutors talking. So there's
right.
a lot of people that are either thinking about leaving the classroom
Mhm.
and starting their own tutoring businesses, or they're just like, I really want to develop a website for
Mm.
whatever additional business that they want to do, and
Yeah.
there's so many choices. It's like, you got so many platforms. Sometimes they're talking about stuff and you're like, what is an SEO? What does the
Yeah.
hashtag do? Like, I have no idea. Okay, the most struggle that I had when I was in the classroom was
Yeah.
learning how to do Google Classroom, and that was
Okay.
during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So those that are actually like leaving the classroom have been people that been, here's my curriculum, I've been teaching the same
Mhm.
curriculum for
Mhm.
20 plus years, and now they're want to be catapult into this world called tutoring, and
Yeah.
the first thing they always think, like, I need to get a website, which is usually not the first thing, but eventually you will need to get a website. So can we talk a little bit about that, like?
Yeah, I was going to recommend I would make my website be priority.
Mhm,
I get the kids as you can, but I would make a website priority, because that would be your business card, right? Like knowing where to go, because there's a lot of people, we're very digital, right? When I'm
mhm,
doing research, even on a movie, right? When you're going through a movie and you're like, oh, what's this actor doing? Whatever, whatever, you're going to go on the internet and you're going to figure out, okay, what is this actor doing? What are they doing now? How much are they net worth? So forth. It's the same thing with a website. The website should have everything of all your services, right?
mhm,
So with a website, it's good to, one, to get a domain. Two, you have to get an email. Three, you cannot use an at Gmail or an at Yahoo. Now there's a new thing coming along where uh, Google and Yahoo are still coming down on emails and spammers, because you can get them
mhm.
for those emails for free. You have to have a domain name email. So I have, hello at learningwithlynette.com. Audrey has contact at audreycodner.com. That's what
Yes.
you use if you're going to email a email list. So the next step would be start collecting emails, so you can have an email list, so you can, talk to your potential parents. So there's a
Yes.
whole like business thing, behind the technology. So because you have your website, because you have your domain name, you have a little bit more authority. And then with the authority, you should be blogging. Because you're blogging, you show who you are. So there's a whole like marketing strategy behind like a lot of things. And you know, it's enough to just have a website, but it's nice to be able to see who you are. Like,
Mhm.
doing like videos, or even doing a commentary, what this is and so forth. So then people or the parents can hear what you sound like, and, be familiar with you. So,
Right. Right. And I mean, like, some people are just like, okay, that sounds great. And then I got lost
yeah,
because they're
yeah,
like, okay, a domain name, like what is that? Or, and I know it's a lot of tech information. Like for
yeah.
me, like sometimes I like to go bare bones and be like, okay, you need to get started. Like especially this time of year, end of January or mid January, people are
Hmm.
starting their third quarters. A
Oh,
lot of
yeah,
kids didn't do well first semester, so a lot of parents are looking for a tutor right now. So that's
yeah.
why when I always say to people, like, put a flyer, get information, tell everybody. Like that's the
Oh,
first
yeah,
thing. And
yeah,
then once you do that, it's like, all right, where do you want people to come to you? And that's
yeah,
why I always said, if you want something temporary, you can have like your QR code and have your Google file or Google form attached to it.
yeah,
So then you can get information and you start from there. But
yeah.
it is true. The people want to see you.
Yeah.
They want to hear from you. So it's not just social media posts, because believe it or not, there's a lot of adults that are still nowhere near social media.
Yeah.
Or if
Yeah.
anything, they might get a
Oh.
fun activity here and there.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
we got to think business wise. And I
Right.
mean, we talked before, and Lynette really convinced me. It didn't take much. She was like, "You need this, got it."
Yeah.
Domain name, got my new website, and
Yeah.
Canva does a lot of stuff. And like, if you
Yeah.
just need something temporarily, it's not so overbearing. But
Right.
this is the best thing. You have someone, let me go this way. You have someone that can actually break all these things down for you, because I mean, we'll be here for a whole hour if we sit here and try to break down domain names and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But there's one way that we can figure out a way to reach Lynette. So she gave me a whole list, and I was like, all right, pick five. Because I'm the same way. I'm like, all right, Audrey, you're on this. Yeah. That. Yeah.
Yep.
On this one.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Lynette. Yeah. I'm on there. So if you want, you got her Facebook page, which is Learning with Lynette. You can go there. If you guys are on Instagram as opposed to, then you can go to her Instagram at jellydonut42. Love that name. Um, I brought her over to the dark side with TikTok. So
I know,
here we
oh my
are.
god. So I'm there too now.
It's not
Yeah.
all about dancing, people. There's also people
Oh,
that are
yeah.
interested into your thing. So learning with
Yeah.
Lynette, if you want to go over for her TikTok, and if you want to see some of her videos, definitely go to her YouTube channel. Sign up for that and subscribe to it, because the videos that she does and the great details to it, it's something that you really should see. Because I know I'll sit there and be like, I think I just learned something today. Okay, wait. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. So then that'll be 10. And
Yeah.
I get
Yeah.
excited because I was like, yes, I got it. Never did it before. So I'm proof that you're never too old to learn. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else that I probably missed out, because I didn't talk too much about the tech, but is there anything else that I missed out that you want people to know?
Uh, well, so for going back to tutors and so forth and building your business, if you're doing in person, create a Google business profile and a Yelp profile,
Mm,
just so you know,
yes,
because if you're in person, that's where people will go. People will go to Yelp or people will go to Google Maps. So,
yes. I definitely got last week, no lie, 3 new students by
hmm
just a regular Google search.
yep,
You don't have to pay anybody
yep,
$300, $400 to be number one in the Google search.
hmm
Mm, no, you
hmm
just really just have to go to like Google Business, and also with Yelp. That's where
yep,
people are going. You want to advertise where people are going to be standing virtually.
exactly,
That's
exactly.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lynette, for coming in. I greatly appreciate you being here. And for all those that stopped in and those that are actually watching either the live or the replay, really glad that you guys are here. We're going to be moving on. Before you know it, it's going to be February. And
Right?
the school year is going to be almost over. And before you know, we're going to be sitting here talking about like summer vacation. So if you are like a parent and you're thinking of doing something for your kid academically, go ahead and do some searches on some tutors, because there's some people that are going to be starting to promote a lot of their programs that they're going to have for the summer.
hmm
Some people are maybe just grabbing people to see if there is an interest. But no matter what, just go ahead and just reach out to people. Okay. We can't just sit still and just pretend that it's just going to go away. No, we're all going to have to figure our things out. So once again, my name is Audrey Codner. I am your host for Two Tutors Talking, and stay tuned next week for another extravaganza. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye now.